What's up guys, it's Criddle here from the AnimeBallZ team with a little video that you probably weren't expecting for a Sunday. Now this is the 1st of December, which means that we're bringing out a lovely little thing that we are apparently doing every 6 months now, called This Is December. Obviously we didn't do This Is December 6 months ago, we did This Is June. So this is December, where we will hopefully, fingers crossed, have 31 days of uninterrupted This Is Goodness. And what better way to kick off an anime-based show with an anime-based theme for the month of reviews than with a non-anime show. Now you might be wondering, what show could we possibly do that has nothing to do with anime? Well, if you've read the title of this video, you know. But if you don't, this week, this is RWBY. Now some of you may be wondering why the hell we're doing RWBY as a This Is for, well, This Is December, an anime show doing a non-anime product. Well, it's because the fact that it is so much influenced by anime, and the Rooster Teeth guys, I like to think I like the guys, Hanabi are good friends with them, Hanabi are good friends with us, so by extension we're really good friends with the Rooster Teeth guys. Yeah? Anyway, enough of that stuff, it's time to go and we'll get
off the tracks.
Okay guys, we'll give you a bit of a refresher course because this is the first This Is we've had in probably nearly 6 months that you guys have had the experience of watching. So Off the Tracks is the segment where we talk about the plot and the characters of the series in question. This episode, obviously RWBY, so we'll focus on the story of RWBY. Now at this early stage it's very hard to get a really good grasp on what the storyline of RWBY is actually going to become because it's only a 10 episode series to this point. We've only seen the first 10 episodes. So it makes it very difficult to sit down and say, well, the story of RWBY is blah 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 blah. But without, trying to delve into the theories and ideas behind the series, what I can say is this. RWBY is set at a school called Beacon, which is a school that trains hunters and huntresses to fight off these creatures of Grimm, all these really grotesque, weird monster things, kind of like hollows in a way because most of them have white masks on their bodies and they have like white spines and stuff over their bodies, and all of them comprise of black, white, red and yellow to some varying degrees. Now the trailers are the best way probably to get the grasp of some idea of some of the story points in question. First of all, the RWBY trailer itself, the red trailer, the first trailer for the series, has RWBY Rose up against a whole group of Beowulfs. Now, Beowulfs are like these, every creature has its own name. You got the Beowulfs, you got the Nevermores, you got the Death Strikers, you've got Ursas as well. It's just, everything has a reference to something else. It's really cool, a really good story. But it's set at this school, and this is a 4-year academy where the students are trained to become hunters and huntresses so that they can go out and fight the monsters and save the day and be amazing and cool and all that sort of stuff. Now, before I get into the characters themselves, because, well, there's quite a few characters, but there is the main 4 cast and the subsequent secondary cast members, which are still rather important but still not on the level that they make the title of the series. The big point in this series is the weapons. Now the weapons in this series are all around changing weapons and stuff like that. They're really cool and they use this stuff called dust, which is essentially the magical energy of the world, and it's how things work. There are companies that deal exclusively in dust and sell it to people around the world, and there are people who want to steal dust so they can use it for nefarious reasons. Let's get into the characters and then we'll get into the weapons at the same time and we'll get this whole flow going. First up, as far as the characters goes, is RWBY Rose, who uses a scythe gun. Now, guns are a big part of the secondary part in this series. Every weapon tends to have a gun as its secondary element. That includes, everything from scythes to swords to all kinds of things, and, eventually there'll probably be a gun. Not a gum, but a gun. It's very close to Luffy, but it's not exactly Luffy. Anyway, RWBY is the youngest member of the main cast and also the main character of the series. Her name isn't the title of the series, there's a reason behind the title of the series, but RWBY is the first member introduced in the series. She's introduced in the red trailer. She is a pretty badass with this scythe. It's bigger than she is, and she uses the gun element mostly for momentum in fights, but she can use it as a weapon at the same time of its own accord. I don't want to delve too much into the characters, but what I will say about RWBY is that she's very bubbly and likes to have fun. She's a goofy little kid who, loves having her headphones on, listening to music, and wants to prove herself to everyone else. Second up, as far as characters goes, is Weiss Schnee. Now, Weiss is a very interesting character in that she comes from a very rich family, the Schnee Corporation, where they actually deal directly in dust, which is this, essentially the energy, the life stream, or whatever you want to call it, of the planet. She comes across at first as a really spoiled brat who just wants to get her own way and is very uppity and expects everyone to do what she wants when she wants it. But she is shown to have a much more compassionate side at the same time, not wanting to just step on people's toes every 5 seconds. She wants people to actually like her and to get on that same level with her. She wants to be part of the crowd whilst making sure everyone recognises who she is at the same time. Bit of a hard character to define, but she is the most serious of the group. Third character in the series is Blake Belladonna, who is a quiet, very reserved character who likes to read books and tends to keep to herself and is there to sort of keep Yang in line. I'll get to Yang in a second. Blake is pretty much the stoic badass of this group of 4 girls. She's just, she's strong in her own accord, doesn't show off, gets the job done, and is very awesome when she does it. The fourth and final member of the main 4 members, and that comprise Team RWBY, I'll leave the Team RWBY thing alone. It makes sense that they're red, white, black, and yellow in this whole context, and all their names start with that letter as well. It all fits in very well together. Anyway, the fourth character, Yang. I haven't really gone into the other weapons that the others have used. Weiss uses a sword infused with dust, a rapier, more things. She uses like a fencing sort of thing. And Blake uses like a grappling hook sword gun combination thing. It's really confusing and unusual, but it's really awesome at the same time. Anyway, Yang uses gauntlets, and with gauntlets becomes the most destructive member of the group, wanting to generally beat up on people, and enjoys the fight, and has a good time with it, and just loves getting out there and having a great time. It's what she does. She is RWBY's sister, and the two are very close, even though Yang can be quite over the top sometimes. And I won't go into them too much, but another group of characters is Jean, Pyrrha, Ren, and Nora. They are the 4 other members, the secondary cast members of the show, if you will. They're all very awesome characters, very unique characters, and they are so much fun, and they're amazing. But enough about the characters themselves, let's find out about the voices behind those characters as we look at
The good, the bad, and the dubbers.
So with the characters in this series, it's very hard to just, really understand, oh, this person's coming from this background and all this stuff, because the cast themselves don't really have voice acting backgrounds. They're not like Kyle Bear or Steve Bloom or Chris Sabat or Colin Clinkenbeard, in that they have these, fantastical lives that they've built up in this great repertoire of voices and all that sort of stuff. They are, members of Rooster Teeth, or relatives or partners of people within Rooster Teeth, and they do bring their own essence to the characters, but they don't have that background in voice acting that we find so common nowadays. And I'm going to butcher names throughout this, so, get ready for that. Ruby Rose is voiced by Lindsay Tuggy. She's one of the achievement hunters at Rooster Teeth. She's very good at her job, and she has some good fun in Minecraft in the most recent Let's Plays and stuff like that, and all the behind the scenes stuff that goes along there. Weiss Schnee is voiced by Kara Eberl. I'm probably pronouncing the name very wrong. We'd say Kara over here as opposed to Kara, which is the American pronunciation. You pronounce your name as Kara as opposed to Kara. Just how they work. Kara is a very interesting person in that her normal self is this really bubbly and almost naive sort of personality that she has going on, compared to Weiss, who seems pretty clued in. And it's really awesome to see these two people, the character and the person, who are so different to each other from, what I've seen of them, just what the general public gets to see of these people. They're very, very different in their own way, and it's interesting to see these two being the one, if that makes sense. Blake Belladonna is voiced by Erin Zek. She is Miles's girlfriend, and, she's partner of Miles and all that sort of stuff. She brings Blake to life, and Blake is, this really cool character, really stoic and stuff like that, and it's really cool to see. It's something that I've really enjoyed about this series, the definition of those characters. Yang Xiaolong is voiced by Barbara Dunkelman, and this is probably the biggest parallel I can see between the main 4 characters and their 4 voice acting counterparts, in the fact that I guess Barbara is probably the most out there and, you know, in the public eye of the 4 main characters, so I think the general public is more aware of who Barbara is, and as a result Yang and Barbara are pretty much synonymous of one another, and it's really cool to see essentially Barbara with gauntlets on the screen. On to those secondary characters that I mentioned before, and the reason I bring this up is because a couple of these characters, specifically Jean and Ren, being voiced by 2 of the writers of the series. So Jeanne d'Arc, obviously based on Joan of Arc, is voiced by Miles Luna, who is one of the writers on the series and was also the writer of Season 11 of Red vs. Blue. So he has some, you know, some good credits in his pocket. It's really cool. He's a really nice guy and stand-up-ish, and I think he's quite cool, and I think he and I would get along really well if he ever came down to Australia and hung out with me. That's a to sort of say, hey, bring Miles down here, because I think he's really cool. Ren is a character who looks almost as much like the person who plays him as Yang is like Barbara. Ren is voiced by Monty Ohm, who is the creator of RWBY, the one who came up with the original concept of the series. And it's really cool to see, you know, this laid-back kind of guy just be like, yeah, I'm just here for the ride, and we're just gonna chill out and have a good time, and, you know, not necessarily have a good time, but, you know, we'll get by. We'll have, you know, we'll have some laughs, we'll have some tears, you know, you take the good, you take the bad, you take all the hate. There you have the facts of life. The facts of life. Counterpart to Ren is Nora Valkyrie, who is the crazy, psychotic, just let's make everything into a game kind of character, which everyone loves in an anime. You've got to love that character that's just going to be like, yeah, everyone's having fun, I don't know what we're yelling about, but I'm going to get involved with the yelling too. She is voiced by Samantha Ireland, who just makes this really bouncy character all the more bouncy and fun, and just things like, boop, are just so fantastic with this character. The 4th member of this group of secondary cast members is Pyrrha Nikos, who is voiced by Jen Brown. I don't really have enough of a background in Jen Brown, but all I can say is that she is doing a very good job as Pyrrha, and I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how Pyrrha is developed in the, you know, the later volumes of RWBY, because she is pretty damn awesome. So with all that being said, RWBY is a fantastic series by the guy who did all the cool special effects and stuff like that in the later seasons of Red vs. Blue. You should definitely check out RWBY if you haven't already done so. It is available from Hanabi right now, and if you are not living in the Australian area, you can jump onto the Rooster Teeth website and buy the RWBY DVD or Blu-ray if you are so inclined. It is a really good series, and I hope everyone gets behind it, because this series is incredible. And as a result, I give it 8 out of 9 straw hats, which is probably to this point the, you know, highest, with a couple of other series, score that I've given a series. There's only 1 or 2 series that I would put above it, but there's a couple of small things that I have as issues with the series, but that's just a me being me thing. Anyway, that's enough said about RWBY. Definitely check it out. I haven't said much about it, so I haven't spoiled too much, but definitely check out the series, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. Third on the list of characters for this series is Blake Belladonna. She was introduced in the Black Trainer